you know, we need evolution, you know, so I'm really proud of everybody. Honestly, you individually, I love everybody for coming out here. I just want to say that and thank you. Right now, we're just going to give y'all this statement real quick about the 41. Like as he said, Justice from Occupy DC. My name is Symbol from BLM. DC Protest, I'm so sorry, forgive me. We work with a lot of organizations. Justin from DC Protest, Symbol from BLMH Co-op, and a lot of other ones of us, 41 of us were arrested maybe almost 2 weeks ago, and we're let go with no charges, no paperwork. All of us, our phones were taken. Around 10:30 p.m., MPD rounded up peaceful protesters in a method known as kettling. And if you don't know what kettling is,
don't look that way.
If you don't know what kettling is, it looks like this circle right here. And not to alarm y'all, but it's literally what the police did to us so that we could not get out. We tried to get out, they would not let us out, and they kettled us in. At the intersection of 18th Street and Willard Street, they waited until 11:30 to begin making the arrest of all the total of 41 people without probable cause, and charged most of us with riot felony acts, even though there was no probable cause.
These social justice activists were held for as long as 36 hours. As expected, charges were dropped for anyone facing a riot felony act charge. However, the story does not end there. 2 women are still facing charges and their futures are unknown. Additionally, MPD took it upon themselves to keep activists' cell phones as evidence. They kept journalists' cameras as evidence. When asked what this evidence for, none of the officers were sure. Deception was used at the 2nd Precinct specifically, with officers going as far as to tell activists their phones were located at the 3rd Precinct, knowing all the while that all the phones were indeed at 2D and the activists would not receive their phones back. We believe that in order to mend relations between police and the citizens they are meant to protect, there must be transparency and accountability, and MPD continues to lack these things. These patriots exercising their First Amendment rights were subjected to conditions unfit for any human, let alone injustices being upheld by their arresters. Although MPD is trying to silence their voices, we will now list the conditions of detriment and justification for the demonstrations as described by some of the 41.
MPD directly targeted queer comrades who did not identify with their gender by putting them in what can essentially be described as solitary confinement. And if you don't know what solitary confinement means, it means 32 hours, 28 to 32 hours with no bathroom in your cell, having to bang and plead for water and food. Not knowing when you're going to be fed, not knowing when you're going to get water. Some of us are vegan and vegetarian, did not eat for 2 days straight. At the 3rd District Precinct specifically, women of color were told to wait when asking for a phone call, but when our white comrades were offered phone calls, they were not searched. Our black comrades were searched twice and were never offered a phone call. During a pandemic, we were transported shoulder to shoulder in a paddy wagon, and some of us were required to share a cell, you know? This all just further highlights the larger issues of systemic abuse within the Metropolitan Police Department. We ask that MPD provide some transparency in order to foster a working relationship with the people they are meant to protect, i.e., stop saying what you say you're going to do and actually get out into the communities and do something. Go out into South Side. Come on. I want books. I want supplies. I want things for my kids. I want things for my, my broken families and communities, my black and brown people who don't have anything, struggling out here. Homeless people need clothes. They need water. They need essentials. They need pantry items.
And to end, we'd like to thank all of you for your support. Like I said, all 41 of us were arrested on numerous charges that were unjust and against our constitutional rights. We really appreciate your support being out here today. They won't silence our voice and they won't silence us. Thank you so much. Like she said, I'm Justin from DC Protest, and this is Symbol from the Co-op.
And just on the last note, we never got our phones back, so please go and vote. Please go and vote, because none of the 41 of us got our phones back. They're still holding it as evidence with no charges. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.